We're continuing to talk about section 12.1 on visual displays of data, and so far we have looked at a frequency table, and this is the table we were talking about in the previous portion of the lecture. And what I want to do now is use this table to create a histogram. So that's the very first thing we're concerned with doing, is we want to construct a histogram. Okay, so as we look at our scores go from 60 to approximately 95, and our frequencies go up to 9. So let me make sure I'm on the Okay, let me start over there. Okay, a ruler is best with these, but since I'm drawing on the screen, it's kind of hard to do a ruler. Let's see, we want our frequencies on our vertical axis. So since it goes up to 9, we want it to go at least, I would say, up to 10 on this. Now you want to make sure you give your graph and your axes names. So these are going to be the scores. Now, depending on the book, different books use different numbers in terms of what they put on the horizontal axis. In my stat book, they typically use the boundaries. As I recall, on this book, most often they go ahead and put the entire class, or you can use the class midpoint. And because of spaces, see, I need 7 bars here. Okay, I'm going to use the class midpoint since I went through the process of finding that, and that's just for space. So what we find is very often these are used. In our book, I think you're going to find these are used. It doesn't matter to me as long as it's clear which one you're using. So I'm going to start with 62. I'm going to use the midpoints. So this will be 62, 67. Remember, a class width of 5, 72, 77, 82, 87, 92. Okay, so now I need to draw my bars in. And so the first bar has a frequency of 1. And I'm going to shade these just to give them a little bit of color. Okay, let's go to our second bar. What we want is a 3 on the next 2 bars. So we're going to go up to 3. And again, I'll shade them. Okay, and our next bar, we need a 9, so we're going to go all the way up to 9. And I'll shade that one as well. And I'm sorry my lines aren't straighter. It's, as I said, if you were going to do this by hand, I would recommend using a ruler, although most people today use a computer. The next one has 8. So we're going to go up to 8. Then we have 4 and 2 for the last two. So let me find 4 and 2. Now, in some cases, you'll see some places they put the number on top of each bar, indicating the frequency. That's just an option you have. So we now have the frequency table converted into a histogram. You can also do a frequency histogram, and what you would do is over on the left here, you would replace the frequency, and I think part of this has gone off, so off the edge. Replace the frequency with the relative frequency, so you'd have percentages over there on the left. Okay, so that's a histogram. Now let's talk just briefly about these others. Okay, a frequency polygon is a very easy one. I can actually draw that on top of this. Basically what you do is you put dots in the center of each of these bars. So where you have the group from 60 to 64 is a 1. The next one's a 3. You just connect these dots, and that's going to be the frequency polygon. And so I'm going to just make it go down. So that's relatively easy to do. So it's just kind of like a line graph. Stem and leaf display. If we wanted to do a stem and leaf display, we would have to go back to the original set of data, and on that what we'll find is, and let me go back to my lectures here just to get the first few numbers. Alright, let me just copy some of these here. Let me just copy this top row. Okay, so there's my list of numbers, which unfortunately went over top of my stem and leaf display. Let's see if I can move it down ever so slightly. Okay, so what you would do, and I'm not going to bother with the ones that are over there. Okay, so we have an 86. What we would do is put the 80, we're going from 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So 86, 64, 74, 89, 68, 71, 78, 66, and we would just continue to put the second digit for each of the numbers in the appropriate place. That's what's called a stem and leaf display. Now the other graphs we'll talk about when we get to the sample problems for this section.